Hi everybody. So what I like to do is I like to take different shots, frame my videos in different places in my home. So this is another little nook of my house here, the stairway going upstairs. But I want to share with you tonight a story. Last night I shared with you a story about a divine provision of $75. Not a big deal, but when that's all the money that there is, it is a big deal. And for me, my God, my supplier, my provider, moves in perfect timing, whether it's $1 or $1,000 or $1 million. When His purposes are in line, they come. So here's the story for tonight. My son was about 9 years old. My little daughter was about 4, and they were both going out for soccer, AYSO soccer. They went to practice on the Saturday. I had been working and got home. They came home and said, Dad, tomorrow's our first soccer game, and we have to pay our money before we can play. And I said, oh, okay. I was working in an aluminum plant, and we were getting by, but, by the provision of God. And but we had no money at that point. I was zero, broke, flat, in between paychecks kind of a thing. And I said, how much is it? And my son said, well, it's $50. And I said, whoa, $50. So $25 a piece? And he goes, no, Daddy, $50 for me and $50 for Lindy. And my poor children, I exploded. Godly man that I am and all that. I exploded. I went, what do you think I'm made out of? The typical poverty mentality. What do you think I'm made out of money? You go out pick it off a tree or something, right? And my poor kids are just cowering back and going, chill, Dad, it's not us. We thought you were going to provide for us, which they should expect. A child should expect that their parent would be able to afford soccer fees for them, So anyway, they went off, and I said, wait a minute, guys, come back here. I said, what we need to do, I'm sorry I got mad at you. And I tell you, give you a little hint here. One of the best things you can ever do is to really apologize to your kids when you do something stupid like that. It's really good for you, and it really makes a bond with your kids. Don't be too big to say you're sorry. And so anyway, I told them I was sorry. That's a little freebie in there. And I said, let's just pray. We should just pray and ask God to bring it in. Now, all my unbelieving friends out there that watch this are going to say, oh, God, here goes the God story. But you that believe and know, you'll know what I'm talking about. We held hands, and I said, Lord, bring in the money. Bring in the $100. We don't know where you're going to get it from, but please bring it in. They ran off to play in their little worlds. I went over to the counter in the kitchen. There was a stack of bills on the counter, that had been come in over the week, and I had been pawing through them, and there was this one that I just picked up and opened it up, and it was from AT&T, the phone carrier, right? This was back in the 90s, so this was when you didn't necessarily have your long distance with the same company that you had your regular phone with. You could pick your long distance company right after AT&T or Ma Bell split up. So I opened this letter, and at the bottom of it is a check-like thing, and I'm going, what is this? And I started reading it, and it says this is a $100 check for da-da-da-da-da. And I said, yeah, right. And so I called the number, and I said, I've got this thing here. So this check goes toward my bill. I can charge $100. She says, no, sir. She says, if you agree to come back to AT&T, I'd gone to another carrier for my long distance. So if you will tell me, give me a verbal agreement that you're coming back to AT&T, I'll give you 4 little numbers. You put those 4 numbers in those boxes in the bottom of that check, and it makes it a valid check for $100. And I said, no, wait a minute. So you're saying you're going to give me $100 for coming back to AT&T? Yes, sir. We would like to have you back as a customer. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And she gave me the numbers, and I wrote them on there. And I said, now what do I do with this check? She says, just deposit it in your bank account like a normal. $100 sitting on my counter waiting for me while I was over here ranting and raving about what do I do? Go out and pick it off a tree? No, just go over to the counter where God has it waiting for me. So I called the kids back in. I said, held up the check, we danced around the living room, soccer's paid for. Another divine provision. You can call it what you want. I call it divine provision. Every time I call out with a need, he answers back. I put the petition out, he brings back. I throw the bread on the water, he returns it many days. You look at it any way you want to look at it. I look at it, my Father watches out for me. That's what I have to say tonight. God bless you. That's the story for tonight.